you. And I call Mr. Muller.
Question 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Task Force Chair is scheduled to brief the Social Development Committee on the Task Force report on the 12th of February, and my department will publish it shortly after that. And given this, it would be, I think, inappropriate for me to comment extensively on the Task Force recommendations until then. But what I can say is that my department has taken the recommendations in the Task Force report very seriously, and we have actually begun to take some of those actions forward on a number of the recommendations, and we are working on an action plan to implement the remainder, which will fall within the department's responsibilities as soon as possible. Before Christmas, my department also responded to a request from the Housing Rights Service, who currently run the Mortgage Debt Advice Service, for additional funding of £15,000 this year to meet an increase in demand for the advice service that they provide.
Thank you. Mr. Muller for a supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. And if I caught you right at the end, you're saying you acceded to that request for the 15,000, and I welcome that. I think that it's clear from the Minister's answer that our sympathies are with those who find themselves in negative equity, who find themselves losing their home, sometimes through no fault of their own. We're talking about ordinary people, as the Minister understands. The people we serve are all ordinary. We don't distinguish between traveller, settled, black or white, whatever religion people have. And I would ask the Minister, would he continue to push as hard as possible for those who have really lost out in the boom? We helped the banks, as the Minister knows, those who made the loans. Will he give a commitment, a continued commitment, to make sure we give as much help as possible to those who lost their homes?
Thank the member for his comments, and I think that if we look at the Task Force recommendations in a broad sense, there were 20 recommendations covering a broad range of issues, and many different sectors, organisations, including the mortgage lenders, the borrowers, the advice sector and government, all have a role to play in improving the position for borrowers in mortgage arrears. And I think the Task Force set itself, in terms of its work, if we look at what it focused in around the two core objectives, helping and encouraging people to help themselves, and increasing the number of people who seek help at an early stage. And I think that in terms of what will take place when the report is published, I think that the member will see that there is a focus on ensuring that we use all possible mechanisms and means to help those who are in need, and that those who have a responsibility will not be allowed to in any way abdicate their responsibility, but that collectively we try to ensure we put together a package following on from the recommendations which are there to help and not to be a hindrance.
Mr. George Robinson.